Yeah, of course. As soon as I got the link, I saw the title of the show. I was like, do I put the Cade Klubnik jersey on? I said, F it. I'm going fully in the club. Cade Klubnik, come on, baby. QB2 for our New York Jets.
QB2, Cade Klubnik. It's his job to lose, seemingly. But let's hear from Frank Reich, who was asked earlier today about Klubnik. Good question here by Rich Samini.
What are your thoughts on Klubnik so far? And since we're not going to get you before the first game, what would you expect from him in the first game against Tampa?
I think Cade's been good. I'm really like how he's come back mentally, and I feel like he's taken a good step mentally. It's a lot now. Like, I think we're at the point where everything is pretty much in. He shows the aptitude to pick it all up, the aptitude for big plays, right? And just continue to weather the storm. There will be some storms. You're a rookie quarterback. You're gonna take your lumps. But I'm happy with the whole quarterback room. All those guys that are kind of competing for the number 2 spot are doing a good job.
The last part there, I don't buy. To me, it's Cade Klubnik and Geno Smith as their quarterbacks right now. Geno, obviously the starter. Cade competing to be number 2. But I don't think it's a lock he's number 2. I think how he looks against the Bucs in the joint practices, how he plays against Tampa in the preseason game, I think that has a lot to do with whether or not he remains QB2. Because if you're Darren Muji, and especially if you're Aaron Glenn, if you're not confident in Cade Klubnik, can you really go into the year with him being one hit away to Geno Smith from having to come in and play quarterback? If you're Aaron Glenn trying to save your job, all of a sudden something happens to Geno Smith, and here comes a day 3 quarterback going out there to try and save your tail end. I don't know if that necessarily makes the most sense. So, Dylan, your thoughts on what Cade has to actually do to be this team's backup quarterback when the Jets start their season in Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, we're only 7 practices into training camp, and today, by all accounts, was a very light pseudo walkthrough type of practice. So it's probably going to look better, and it did for Cade Klubnik. But when you look at the stats over each day for him, and stats aren't the only thing, of course, his stats aren't there. He's thrown a handful of interceptions, which, like Frank Reich said, weathering the storm. It's really tough to say the jury is still out, or I would say the jury is still out, rather, on Cade Klubnik, because we haven't seen that preseason game, right? We saw what Carson Beck and even Haynes King was able to do last night in the Hall of Fame game. And I'm not saying Cade Klubnik has to replicate anything like that, multiple touchdowns, really good completion percentage, but you have to at least see him taking live bullets before you're able to evaluate. And I'm still in the camp that they probably will make a decision on quarterback between the Bucs and the Steelers game, or between the Steelers and the Giants game this preseason, whether that's via trade or trying to find somebody on the open market. But I would say right now, yeah, you got to hedge your bet if you're Aaron Glenn. You cannot have a 4th round rookie kind of thrust into action, whatever happens to Geno Smith. And we'll probably get into the positives of Geno Smith from Frank Reich today, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to hold up for 17 games this whole season. So I'm a little worried about it, but also I do like what Frank Reich had to say about his mentality, his aptitude for big plays. That does come along with holding on to the ball for too long, which we've seen him do at camp. And I think Robbie alluded to this a little bit, but sometimes he would leave out of the pocket and just kind of scramble and just look for something. And like, that's not necessarily sound football for training camp. That's more of a rookie move. So that's part of weathering the storm here. But there's ups and downs with Cade Klubnik, of course. Do I want him to be closer to what we saw from Carson Beck and Haynes King last night? Absolutely. That was pretty electric for a Hall of Fame game. But we have to see it first before we can make any real, evaluations. And the Bucs are going to be a really good test 1 week from now. It's crazy to say.
Yeah, I mean, Tampa's got a really good defense. Say whatever you want about Todd Bowles. We know he's a really good defensive mind. So it will be interesting to see how he looks. And I'm not ruling out the possibility of Klubnik playing well and just earning the job. But again, I keep coming back to the fact that the head coach is on the hot seat. Mm-hmm. Does he really want his quarterback to be a rookie, not drafted in the 1st round or the 2nd round or even the 3rd round like Carson Beck was, who played well last night in that Hall of Fame game you mentioned, Dylan? He's a 4th round guy. And a lot of people felt like Klubnik was probably more of a 5th or a 6th in some scenarios. So, again, if he plays great, awesome. But this is where you really got to hope that Frank Reich has the real pulse of the position and understand. Like what he says with the media, he's never going to badmouth a player publicly. He's telling you that, I'm happy with Brady Cook and Bailey Zappi competing. And we just know based on the rep counts during these practices, that that's just not true. It's really Klubnik's job to lose at this point. But you just have to hope that Frank Reich, who's as cued in as any to the quarterback position, given his background, could be honest with Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji and say, look, Cade might be something, but maybe he needs to be QB3 for the first month and change of the year. And we need to trade a 7th rounder to go get Andy Dalton, who could be Geno Smith's backup. The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players: Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to. And check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today.
Yeah, it needs to be like a daily, if not every other day, kind of conversation for the coaches to have. Like, hey, what does it look like today at practice? Did he go back into the meeting room and understand where his mistakes were and understand what he needs to improve upon? It needs to be literally a day-to-day development with him before you can, like I said, make any type of real evaluation on him. And you mentioned the Bucs being a really good defense. I think they're a pretty phenomenal defense, despite, they had struggles last year. They missed the playoffs. I'm interested to know, and obviously we're still a week out, but we'll get some intel based on the joint practices. If they play Geno Smith, hypothetically, just one drive, maybe 2 drives, how much do you give Cade Klubnik? Do you let him play the remainder of the first half into the third quarter, and then you split up some of that second half between Zappe and Cook, who you probably don't need to get an extended look at anyway? Like, where are you looking at personally? Like, how much do you want to see of Cade Klubnik a week from now?
It's a great question. I'd like to see him play as much as possible, to be honest with you. I'd give Geno Smith couple drives in the first quarter because it's a brand new offense. If you remember what Aaron Glenn did last year, he had the starters play that opening drive against the Packers. They went down the field, they scored a touchdown, and then that was it. Yep. Could you see something similar this year if they start off as well as they did last year with Fields? Maybe. But if you're Aaron Glenn, you got to make sure this offense is ready to roll right away. I'd consider giving Geno 2 drives or let him play the entire first quarter. That's probably 2 or 3 drives at the most in that scenario. And then honestly, the rest of the game, I'd go to Klubnik. I don't need to see Zappe at all. I'm sure he'll get in there. I'm sure Cook will get in there too for whatever reason. But I would prefer to see Klubnik play more than anyone. Like if you just told me they did Geno and then Klubnik the rest of the game, I think every Jet fan would be on board with that.
Yes, I certainly would be. Like I said, I don't know if they would go to that full extent, but like you said, Geno gets 2 drives. Let's say there's 3 minutes left in the first quarter, and Klubnik comes in that first drive. I would say given all the way through to the fourth quarter, and then you pick one of your quarterbacks between Zappe and Cook, probably going to be Zappe, to play the entire fourth quarter. So you get a little over 2 quarters of Cade Klubnik, That way you can get your 2-minute situation in before the half. You can give him like time to settle in and adjust. You can't just give him a couple drives and then all of a sudden you're going to Bailey Zappe, because 4 quarterbacks on the roster is a little bit unique. We heard the Panthers, I believe they only have 3 on the roster, so that's why it was Kenny Pickett and then Haynes King for the rest of the game with Bryce Young out. So maybe they don't even start Geno Smith and Cade Klubnik gets the start against Tampa Bay. We don't know, and maybe that is what they're thinking about for the first game at least. So I'm with you. Give me 2+ quarters of Cade Klubnik to really settle in, show what he can do, hopefully lead a couple scoring drives, and get those hiccups out of the way.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Dylan Tereman is our guest as we talk all things New York Jets. Frank Reich speaking earlier today. And DT, Frank Reich is excited to be back with the Jets.
A lot. It's energized me a lot. I get my energy from AG, number one, right? Like a lot of the players here, he's a great leader. So I'm connected to that, to his leadership. But ultimately, as the offensive coordinator, I get my energy from the players on offense. Wanting to see them excel, wanting to see G do his thing, excited about what we're seeing from AD. Tight ends, man, put any one of you in there. All of your great players, seeing what Breece can do. Braylon looks great running the ball. He's big and strong. watching Geno operate, the other quarterbacks operate this offense, and Geno's laser-like focus, man, it's hard not to get excited about that every day. Like, it's a lot of fun.
Reich is an adult in the room, and any chance the Jets have of being a team better than we expect, it's Frank Reich being Chan Gailey, and it's Geno Smith being Ryan Fitzpatrick. The irony being that could have been Geno all those years ago, and we know what happened. But that's kind of what you need if the Jets are going to be this surprise team that's going to exceed their national expectations, which is around 5.5 wins at every major sports book.
Yeah, I don't want to say Frank Reich has turned back the clock and like found this, fountain of youth and coaching with the Jets here, but it does seem like there is a lot to get excited about, and that's kind of what he was trying to say with his energy. It's like more excitement for what this offense can do. There was a comment in here, I believe it was Dano. He said, listen to this full interview in its entirety. I would certainly recommend that to all Jets fans. Go out and watch this entire thing. I think it was like 11 or 12 minutes.
I played the full thing during my first show today for those who didn't hear it.
Perfect. So you could just go right back to Jake's previous stream. He talked about just about every single person on this offense in such a glowing way. And obviously a coach is going to do that. But I feel really strongly that the combination of him and Seth Ryan, whatever degree Seth Ryan's involved, I'm not saying it's 50-50, obviously, but I do think that we're going to see things from this offense that at least give us a chance. They might not be the most, innovative thing in the NFL, and we're replicating Ben Johnson or evolving Ben Johnson's offense like tenfold. But I do think that we're going to see some things from Frank Reich and Seth Ryan that we have not necessarily come to appreciate from this Jets offense, because forward passes weren't a thing last year. Downfield passes haven't been a thing since maybe Zach Wilson in like his rookie year. I feel like he was taking some shots and then got scared. So we just haven't seen normal offensive things, and we get that plus a little bit more from Reich, and I think there's some good to work with.
Look, the bottom line is, if you just look at the talent the Jets have on their offense and remove Jets from the helmet, there's enough there where this team should be competent offensively. We're not asking for you to be the Rams or the Niners or any elite offensive team. We're asking you to be a watchable football team where you're not behind every damn game because your offense is struggling to get a first down and the defense has to be on the field the whole half, and that puts you in a hole. Like, we're asking you to be relevant. We're asking you to be able to score 20-plus points a game. It's pretty reasonable with the offensive line I believe they have, especially their tackles. I think it's reasonable with the weapons they have. I mean, later on in this press conference, Reich was just raving about how good Breece Hall is and how smart he is, and he had no idea what exactly he was getting. He always was a fan of him, but now getting to work with him, he's been blown away with Breece, and he's so thrilled that they got the contract stuff done months ago. Like, Frank Reich had Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis. He could design an offense that features a great running back. I hope they really rely on Breece, especially early, because if you want to eliminate the turnovers by Geno, he's led the NFL in interceptions the last 2 years combined with 32. The best way to do that, Dylan, run the hell out of the football with Breece Hall, and then you're asking a lot less from Geno Smith.
Yeah, 100%. And we saw last year, they were 6th or 8th in running in terms of total run offense last year. And that was when everybody on the field and everybody in the stadium knew that the Jets were just going to run the ball as many times as possible. So now you at least have the threat of the quarterback. Last year, we thought we had the threat of the quarterback run, which was going to help us. It obviously didn't. But now we have the threat of the quarterback being a quarterback. So that is going to, show some too high safety looks. It's like the most,
a quarterback being a quarterback.
It's the most trivial thing ever. And you went to like your can they just be relevant? My whole thing this offseason is just that's my acronym. Can they be competent? Can they be average? Can they just be normal? That's all we want. And I feel like you can actually do that. Plus you have, like you said, this talent surrounding Geno Smith, offensive line specifically. I liked that Frank Reich was getting juiced up talking about the offensive line. And then you go out to the skill position players. Like, there's almost no excuse to not be top 20 at worst in offense. And last year, the 20th best offense was the Los Angeles Chargers. The only difference is they passed the ball like a normal offense. We had the exact same run metrics as them. Obviously, less scoring input from the rushing game, but every difference from a statistical category was passing. So obviously, Justin Herbert to Justin Fields is a big difference, but can Geno Smith kind of bridge that gap to get us close? And then if we're the 20th best offense, the Chargers were a playoff team last year, I believe, right? So we're right there on the cusp of it, and it starts with the offense first.
Danger Zone with an Asmaniac super chat says, 2 gold standards on one screen. I'd like your thoughts on the title, Heir to the Throne for Cade Klubnik. I'll hang up and listen. Dylan, Heir to the Throne for Cade Klubnik. You're on mute.
Why wouldn't I be on mute? Of course. This is a good question by Dano. As somebody who rocks a 1 buzz cut, a 1/2 fade, I probably can't speak to the hair department. It's a good name. I don't know. There's so many nicknames that I think you can give Cade Klubnik. I don't know. I have to find a good one, but Heir to the Throne definitely is a competitor.
Yeah, I'm going to say no, Danger. I'm going to say no, Dano. I'm going to say no. How about Chubb for Club? Hey. Yeah. Anyway, we brought up Geno Smith. So much of the season, obviously, he's the quarterback, revolves around him. Well, at least Frank Reich is giddy about working with Geno so far. Take a listen.
Geno's the leader. He's the leader of the offense. Make no mistake about it in every way, shape, and form. And to me, what has come crystal clear to me in this early time in training camp, the attribute that sticks out to me is his laser focus. This man is laser focused like people don't understand. Like he comes to work. He comes to work and he is locked in. And I feel like the whole offense plays off of that. That's a really big deal.
Dylan, is it a really big deal that Geno Smith is laser focused?
I mean, you kind of have to be as a quarterback, right? Like that's just one of the prerequisites of the job. Like you're on Indeed scrolling like the jobless chud that I've been for the last week. And you see the prerequisites and it's like, yeah, laser focused. I want to be a quarterback. Of course, you're the head of the offense, head of the organization to a degree for most teams. So, I mean, it's nice to hear from Frank Reich about our starting quarterback, Geno Smith. Do I agree? It's hard to tell, right? I want to see Geno go out there and do it live for us. But, it is undeniable that Geno Smith does have a really pretty deep ball, and he does a lot of things really well in terms of structure, timing, getting to the back of his drop. His footwork is actually really improved since his time as like a young Jets player. I don't know, man. I'm kind of fired up for Geno and Frank Reich, as silly as that sounds, because I was pretty down on the Frank Reich hire. But yeah, I mean, prerequisite of the job is laser focus, intelligence, and understanding what you're supposed to do on a down-out basis.
Geno Smith, Frank Reich, an unlikely pairing of two former Jet quarterbacks reuniting to help the New York Jets and the longest playoff drought in sports. What say you, Dylan? Is that a movie script that you'd be interested in watching?
I 100% think the Jets, One Jets Media needs to contract you to narrate that exact thing that you just said for whatever in-house docuseries they do about this offense, because it gets you fired up. It gets you wanting to believe, right? It's kind of like a big reunion. Obviously, Reich and AG from the coaching perspective, but then you have, DeMario and Geno Smith from the player perspective. Minkah Fitzpatrick, it's a homecoming to a degree, right? A New York native. So it's pretty cool to see when the hometown kids are kind of coming back and wanting to make this team a lot better. But dude, fire me up, man. You got a job in narration.
Fire me up. Let's go, Geno. We believe.
Shut up. Let's go. It's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.